Gethsemane was a quiet garden on the outskirts of Jerusalem. But this night, it was the center of a cosmic storm. In the stillness of olive trees, the fate of humanity hung in the balance, not on the cross just yet, but in the heart and shoulders of a man. And this man was tempted, and this man could say no and walk away. This was the real battlefield, not Golgotha, not the trial before Pilate. Here, in Gethsemane, Jesus faced his hardest moment, and it brilliantly proved that he was fully human. Let's step into that garden. The Passover meal is done. The betrayer has left. The city behind him sleeps. But Jesus can't. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me, he tells John, Peter, and James. This is not poetic exaggeration. Jesus is under such mental and emotional pressure that Luke, a physician, records something remarkable. The Bible says that, being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. This rare medical condition, hematidrosis, is triggered by extreme stress. It doesn't happen to actors. It happens to people at their breaking point. This was real pain. This was real humanity. And then he says it, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me." This is not fear of pain. This is the soul of a man standing at the edge of obedience and longing to turn away. He knows the prophecies. He knows the plan. But in this moment, Jesus, fully God, yes, but also fully man, is tempted in his heart. This is not play acting. This is a choice. The cup represents divine wrath, separation, and death. And Jesus asks, is there another way? Do you remember the wilderness? When the devil had finished every temptation, he left him until an opportune time. This is that time. Satan knows this is the last stand. If Jesus walks away now, there's no redemption. If he calls 12 legions of angels, it's over. So the enemy throws everything at him: fear, sorrow, isolation, doubt. And Jesus wrestles. He prayed, desperately, not as a king issuing commands, but as a man drowning in anguish, clinging to hope. He longed for comfort, for companionship, for someone to stand beside him in the storm. So he turned to his disciples, the ones he had taught, loved, protected. But in his hour of greatest need, they failed him, overwhelmed by their own weakness, unaware of the cosmic weight crushing their master. They slept. While he wrestled with the fate of the world, they rested in the dust. So, you could not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Matthew 26:40-41. These were not words of anger. They were the cry of a soul breaking. Not a teacher scolding students, but a friend, heartbroken in his loneliness. At the most decisive moment in all of history, Jesus stood truly alone. Heaven held its breath. Earth lay silent. Hell leaned forward. The entire universe waited. And the devil, alongside every power of darkness, watched, certain of victory. They had seen humanity fall before. They expected no different now. But then comes the turning point. A line whispered into eternity, "Yet not my will, but yours be done." That is the victory, not the resurrection, not the stone rolled away. This was the decisive blow. It is in that moment that Jesus submits, not with joy, but with trust. He gives himself over, willingly, painfully, entirely. Gethsemane was not the first garden where a great choice was made. In Eden, the first man faced temptation and fell. Adam, though perfect, chose to disobey, not out of hatred, but out of love. The serpent offered him a choice, and he chose his wife over obedience. Now, in Gethsemane, the tempter returns, stronger, more cunning, and again, he offers a path of love. Stay with your disciples, Jesus. You love them. You don't need to leave them tonight, he whispers. Just one more Passover with them, one more morning sunrise together. Stay. It was the same test, but this time, humanity's last chance was resting on the shoulders of one man. Jesus was perfect, like Adam, loving, like Adam. But here's the difference. He was also God. And because of that, he truly was our final hope. But in this moment, he did not draw on divinity. He didn't wield power. He didn't summon angels or hide behind his divine nature. He faced the choice as a man. Alone, vulnerable, afraid. And he could have chosen wrong. But he didn't. He stood for humanity, where Adam fell. He chose obedience over comfort. He chose you over safety. And in that decision, the devil's greatest weapon, temptation, was crushed. Luke tells us an angel appeared to strengthen him. Why? Because heaven saw the battle, and heaven knew this was harder than the cross. After Gethsemane, Jesus never hesitated again. When they arrested him, he didn't resist. When false witnesses accused him, he stayed silent. When they beat him, he endured. And when he was crucified, he embraced it. The victory was already won. The cross was just the path he had already chosen in that garden. Gethsemane was the real war. And here's what makes this powerful for you and me. Jesus didn't conquer temptation by turning off his humanity. He didn't rise above it. He walked through it. He wept. He bled. He begged. And then, he obeyed. During the days of his life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with fervent cries and tears to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverent submission. Although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. He learned obedience. He struggled, and he won. Not with lightning bolts, but with surrender. When we talk about spiritual victory, we often think of loud praise, mountaintop moments, or supernatural strength. But sometimes, victory looks like a man alone in a garden, saying, "God, I don't want to, but I will." Gethsemane proves Jesus understands us, not in theory, but in experience. That's why the Bible says that we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all things just as we are, yet without sin. This also proves something more. He didn't win because he was superhuman. He won because he trusted his Father when everything in him wanted to run. And because he did, you can too.